So we'll just start out from the beginning. Hi guys, we're so glad to be back. It's been so long. We're gonna jump right into the goodies of how to boost your immune system for now, for the rest of your life. These are things to be proactive about rather than reactive. It's really key in your immune system. So Lindsay, take the lead.
Yay! Okay, hi guys, again. So the first tip that we have, and this is something that you may not connect the dots with when it comes to what we're dealing with today, the coronavirus and any other health issues, is the power of our mind and mindset. We create our outer world and reality based on what's going in within our minds and our brains, with our thoughts and our emotions and our actions and our habits. We're creating all of that. And so if someone tells you you're going to get the coronavirus and then you believe that, it's probably going to happen, as opposed to you saying, no, that's not going to happen, and not really identify yourself with that truth. So Sarah, if you want to add epigenetics.
Yeah, so epigenetics is the way in which our DNA expresses itself. And this is like cutting edge science. If you guys are not familiar with this yet, it's going to be mind blowing. At least it was for me. I grew up thinking your DNA is your DNA and everything is hereditary, and it's not. Some scientists actually argue that less than 10% of all disease and disorder is genetic. I love letting that sink in. Some scientists say less than 2%. Other ones argue it's less than 10%. But what that means is that we have the ability from using our mind and our environment to alter our DNA. So what we eat, what's around us, the air we breathe, and the way that we think changes the way that we express our DNA. And not only does this affect you, but it affects your children and your future children. So you have the ability to not only cycle break past hereditary issues for the future, but you do for yourself right here and right now. And even if you already have kids, it's not too late, moms, because you can teach them to do the same thing. So it really has to do with your environment. So when it comes to illness, chronic disease, getting sick, it is so essential that our minds are in alignment with what we really want. And that's the belief of healing. We know that stress kills. We've been ingesting that for long enough that we're like, yeah, stress kills you. Really, really, really does. And letting that sink in, that if like, oh, I'm sick and my life's not going right and I don't feel good, your body's going to perpetuate that energy. And there's so many science-backed studies on this to prove and correlate with what we're saying. So the same is true with our mind when we focus on healing, healthy, strong. So there's actually more proof that meditation can create world peace than aspirin cures a headache. And that is done by, they put scans of the brains and they test people and they do before and afters, and they can see that the DNA is altered and how it has the effect on your body. So this is really, really, really essential that you sit with the knowing that you can tell your cells to be strong, to fight, and to actually heal different ailments or injuries. And there's people like Joe Dispenza who teach all over the world, thousands of people, on how to heal themselves, just like he did with the power of your mind. And if you question it, he's got the proof in the pudding. Just Google Joe Dispenza. There's many people like him who are, again, healing thousands of people using their mind. So this is number one on our list, and we really can't stress it enough. And what is the most important about mindset, and I really want to hone this one in with you guys, is that you have to feel it. You can't go around saying, oh, you know, I'm healthy, but you don't really feel it internally, because that's not how your body communicates with you. Your body communicates by a vibrational frequency. And that means that you really feel strong. And your words do have power. They've actually done studies on words, and the word worry is one of the lowest vibrational frequencies that exist, whereas like love and gratitude is the highest. And it has been measured. So watch your words, Be mindful of that feeling. What are you really feeling? And you can feel it in your heart. You can feel it in your root chakra. Health, happiness, gratitude, and just really switching into that choice state of I am grateful. And even if you do get sick, you can pull yourself out of that illness as quickly as you got into it by staying in that state of responsible versus victim and having gratitude and healthy thoughts.
Yes. And guys, get your kids in on this too. Sarah was just mentioning this morning. My kids are in public school personally, and just my personal belief, our public school system is slightly outdated. A lot of it is just trying to get the kids to fit in a box and not really be fully expressive. And so we can take this time when they're home with us to teach them to meditate, to focus on the power of intention, to focus on their thoughts and manifestation and all of this stuff, and teach them these life skills that they can take with them throughout life. And we're giving them this great foundation and these pillars of success later on in life that they'll be able to use. So our kids are so much smarter and wiser than we give them credit for. I know my daughter, I taught her about manifestation once, and she almost uses it daily. And it's actually quite funny because she'll find $1 or a penny, or she's like, oh, I manifested that, like if she wants something. So she's really aware of it now, and it's like a fun game, but it's actually working. So using this time that we're at home to really teach our kids all these things that we're practicing and the things that we're going to talk about today as well. Their minds are so fertile, and let's plant these great seeds.
And it helps you stay on track. Every time I hear one of the coaches talk about get up in the morning and meditate right away, I'm like, you obviously don't have kids. Because that is like not possible as a mom. And it took a while to get around your heads, but when you wake up with your kids, have them say affirmations with you, have them practice visualizing their selves be little fighters with shields and strong. And then they're going to perpetuate that energy with you. You're not going against the grain. If your kids get into that value system, you're going to get into the value system. So now we're going to move from mindset to meditation, because this is one of the ways that you change your mindset. So if you're still like stuck on, how do you really get that engine going? Because it's one of the biggest challenges as a human is change your mind. If you can change your mind, you change your life, right? Like this is what we just have to get behind. So the following items that we're going to give you guys are just kind of other ways that will change your mindset, both on an energetic level and an emotional level and a physical level. So I should say 3 ways. So the next one is meditation.
Meditation. Meditation is just like we have so much chatter in our minds. And I'll just say this quickly. When we're in a state of fear, we're actually suppressing our immune system because you're putting your body in a state of fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight, your body is just looking how to survive. And so your vital bodily functions like your immune system shut down. So meditation is a phenomenal, simple way. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be, sometimes I'll go outside and I'm literally there for 30 seconds and I just breathe. It can be very simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. It brings you back to yourself in your body. It gets rid of the fear and the chatter and the lower vibrational frequencies and energies and emotions and feelings that you might be feeling. And it helps you kind of clear those out. It's a very powerful tool. It's free. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You can walk down the street. No one knows you're even doing it. Walking meditation.
And there's a ton of guided meditations on YouTube that you can hit search and listen to. I started personally practicing with guided meditations. I do not use guided meditations anymore. I'll use a sound frequency that I'm calling in at a certain hertz. They do suggest you meditate as long as you are old. And I know that might sound intimidating. And I know that a lot of people just say start with 5 minutes. And I'm going to agree, start where you can start. But for me, I don't really get into my deep state of like tingles and body connection and where I start seeing things and feeling a divine source until about 25, 30 minutes in. That's when my meditations start getting deep and I can really feel it. And the longer you hang in with a meditation, the more it's going to do for your body. It shows that 10 minutes of meditation a day can increase your longevity of your life. Like, it's just a small amount of meditation that shows there's so much powerful effect on even just looking younger. If you guys are like, oh, my immune system's fine. Well, meditate if you want to look younger. It can make you stronger. If you do visual meditations where you're just imagining your body have more muscle or to be skinnier, those all have effect on the brain, so that you start doing things in a daily, consciously and subconsciously, because you've done that work that's going to channel to that. One of my friends, Vita, I told her to practice with wishful meditations. And I think this is a really fun practice for you if you're like, this is just not my cup of tea, but you're trying to call something in. So say wishful meditation would be, I want my perfect partner, or I want to be healthy. Just sit in that meditation for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and just really sink in to that feeling of whatever it is you're calling. And just, even if it's the mantra of saying it over, and that's that wishful, and that's going to have an effect on your body. As you guys probably already know, singing is a form of meditation. Dancing is a form of meditation. If you can get like some Deadova, if you guys haven't listened to her yet, Deadova, thank you, Christina, for showing this to us. Stick that on blast and get it. Make your animal calls, like feel the vibration, and it's going to really, really move trauma or anything stuck in your body. And again, body movement builds immunity. So great ways to start meditating.
Yes. So let's talk about food, Sarah.
Yeah. It's so fun. Whenever Lindsay's with us, I get to like throw her the ball right beside us. So this is, I think, one of our first, like maybe second, doing it far away from each other. And I can't throw her the ball the same way. Food. We all have heard us say anti-inflammatory foods. Yes, yes, yes. Removing inflammatories. Yes, yes, yes. This is two pieces to the puzzle that has it taken me personally. It took me a long time to like really get it. So what happens when you eat an inflammatory food is similar to when you get a wound on your foot, or your body or somewhere. I just got one yesterday on my foot, so that came to my mind. What happens when you cut something? Do you guys, you can recall, like, it gets red, it gets swollen, the blood and your immune cells go there to heal it. Well, it's similar when you're eating inflammatory foods, and certain people can get into a state of like fibromyalgia or chronic pain or chronic suffering, because your body's response to the toxic foods is to boost its immunity, to increase that flow, and it causes inflammation. So it's not a gluten-free fad. This isn't like this made-up thing. It is what's happening to our body. It's a response to the inflammatory foods. And it's not just gluten, it's dairy, refined sugar, heavy processed foods. And I know this can sound heavy, and there is a fun roadmap that Lindsay and I actually take people through. If you ever want personal one-on-one, you can ping us. That's empowering, and there's tons of food out there, and it is really easy to do. And when you cross over, it's priceless. That feeling from being in that chronic pain state, which I was in for so many years, versus this thriving state, it's priceless. I don't miss gluten at all. I don't dairy at all. It's really worth it. And I want to add, specifically for immunity, that if you're in an inflammatory state, this weakens your immune system. So it's going to make, when you do get sick, a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say, Lindsay?
I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know. Okay. So a lot of people, like Sarah and I, have worked with people, and just, we're both in this space. So we see a lot of healing journeys, and a lot of people don't even realize that they're in pain until they're not in pain. So you're eating inflammatory foods, and it's almost like you're feeling sore or tight or whatever it is. You're having these physical symptoms, and you're not even aware of them because you've been living like this for so long. And it's not until you take them out and then put them back in that you realize, oh my God, that's causing, whatever it happens to be, stiff joints or acne or dry skin, all these symptoms, they play out differently in all of our bodies. And it does suppress our immune system, because when our bodies are focusing its energy on getting out these inflammatory foods, it's attacking that instead of boosting our immune system. So even sugar alone, there's science that says sugar suppresses your immune system for up to 5 hours. So if you eat sugar and then you go out in public and, you know, people are infected, you're more likely to get something because you've consumed something that's inflammatory.
It's fascinating. That's really, I haven't read that study yet. I love that science is just taking the time to study things like this with our food, so we can really understand, because for a long time, so many suffered and we just thought this is our body and we have no choice, but we do have a choice. And the evidence there is to prove it and to show it. It's really helpful. So what counters the inflammatory foods, because instead of us going into all sorts of ones that might cause it, we're going to give you a few that can heal the inflammation. But I want to really stress to you, if you guys aren't getting out the inflammatory, this isn't going to do enough. You've got to reduce the inflammatories, and especially with your children, even asthma, I was just reading today, is another result, could be, of too many inflammatory foods. My son personally gets chronic snot if he's on dairy and gluten. And, you know, thankfully my doctor's aware of it and has suggested to be off of it. But, you know, when he gets back on the dairy and gluten, he gets the bumps on his arms. Everybody has those little bumps on his arms. He gets this chronic snot that keeps flowing. My other son says his tummy doesn't hurt, or his tummy hurts. So there's lots of signs that we're not really aware of, that it is gluten that is causing it. Gluten, dairy, sugar, like the high inflammatory foods. And people say frequently, I don't do gluten, or I don't really do it. A teaspoon of soy sauce will cause an inflammatory issue throughout my entire neck and down my hip. A teaspoon, if I eat just a tiny bit of soy, and it lasts for hours. So it goes to show you, you know, how a very little might still be causing quite a bit of issues. And this is different for everyone. Lindsey, I've spoke on MTHR. Can you describe what MTHR genetic mutation is, or what the susceptibility to it is?
Yeah, MTHFR. So this is a specific gene mutation. I think it's estimated that 40% of society has this gene. And it's just, I don't know like all the science behind it, but it's basically your body can't detox. It doesn't have the same detox pathways for inflammatory foods, for environmental toxins, for heavy metals. And so when the people who have this gene mutation are eating inflammatories or have a high toxic load or using toxic products, they get stored in our body much more higher than people who don't have the gene. And so you see today an explosion of kids and people with all of these disorders and obesity and high blood pressure and ADHD. These are not normal. These are immune responses to toxins overloading our system. So it's very helpful to know whether or not you have this MTHFR gene mutation, because it'll tell you what's good for your body and what's not good for your body.
And we do have some sites and sources. So if you guys have any questions, you can ping us now in the Q&A or later. I personally have tested both of my sons recently with this, and there's another program that does it. And then they send you like specific supplements that they suggest to turn off and turn on your genes to do what you need it to do. So there's things that can help you. And what that does mean is when you hear people say like, oh, I eat gluten, it doesn't bother me. Well, there's two factors. One is they might not have that susceptibility, or two, it's a matter of time, because our systems just eventually get so clogged up that even if the person went 40 or 50 years and never had a problem, and then they started in their 50s with chronic pain and all these things, well, the systems just get clogged down, and you got to cleanse, you got to detox, you know, and there's all sorts of ways to do that to boost your immune system and get out the inflammatories. So there's 15 foods that Dr. Axe just put out. We're going to put that link in the description of this live, so you guys pay attention to it. It'll give you some top foods like broccoli, leafy greens, turmeric, ginger. And I want to make sure I remind you guys that when you're doing turmeric and ginger, you got to get pepper in. So the active ingredient in pepper is called pepperin, and it makes the turmeric absorb into your body 2,000 times more than it would if you didn't consume them together. So No More actually makes on the side, it's not on our website, an ingredient called Remedy. And which is one of our next ingredients that you guys can use to boost your immune system twice a day. So it's organic baking soda, ginger, turmeric, and pepper. And you take a teaspoon in the morning, a teaspoon at night. And what baking soda does is it alkalines your body so that essentially like viruses can't live. It's an anti-cancer, antifungal. It has so many amazing properties in it. If you've got heartburn, if you got tummy issues, if you got gas pain, baking soda, baking soda, baking soda. I use it like the Greeks do with Windex. Yeah. So I really can't get that one down enough. It's cheap. It's like a penny to do the baking soda. And it also works to fight candida. If you have candida issues, if you know you have high candida or other symptoms with candida, which is fatigue, yeast infections, things like that, skin issues, you can take baking soda and aspirin. Anything sour will kind of fight that. So the really big anti-inflammatory foods, that list is going to be there. We have an infographic that Lindsay's so wonderful to make that kind of goes over what we talked about today. So if it was a lot to ingest, we'll add that too. And what's next on our agenda, Lindsay?
So let's see. We can do voting. Sarah.
Yeah. I'm always yelling at the ladies, like, get out there and vote. Did you guys know we used to not be able to vote and how hard the women worked to start voting? If you guys aren't aware of the history of this, it's a big deal. So the reason why this is so important for your immune system is things like climate, the air condition. And again, if you don't believe in global warming, that's okay. There's still a pollution problem and you're aware of it. So the air quality around you is imperative with your immune system. The water you're drinking is imperative to boost your immune system. If it's got heavy toxins in it, it just plummets down your body's ability to take care of itself. And I'm sure you guys all know, cancer, immune issues, headaches, asthma, like it goes on and on and on and on. I don't necessarily care right now who you vote for, but you gotta, one of my favorite quotes, guys, if you're not at the dinner table, then you're on the menu. And if you're not actively participating in your local election, this is the most important, then you can't make votes towards keeping the water systems clean, keeping the air systems clean, affecting your children's education. That's when you vote that helps your children, which in turn helps you, right? If your kids are struggling, you're struggling, and this then stresses you out, you're then sick. So really, if you think about all the things in your outer world that you feel like you have no effect over, you're driving to work and you get sick, or the water's got all these things like pharmaceuticals in it, no, you can do something about it. And it does start in your local level. So get out there, get involved, make friends, and make an impact, and then clean up the air.
Yeah. So our next one will be nature. Nature, that's one of my favorites. I love nature so much. And I've heard a few people, or my husband was just talking to me about some of his coworkers, and he's like, they feel trapped at home. And I'm like, but we still can get outside. We can't be around people, but the trails are still open. Even if the parks and the stores are not open, you can get outside, get barefoot, go on a trail near your house, even your front yard or your backyard, and just sink your feet into the ground. The earth removes negative ions from your body and boosts your immune system. There's a lot of science behind that. And it gets you grounded and just feeling, I know if I'm inside for too long in the air conditioning and the lighting, I start to feel super disconnected. And so I go outside probably once an hour, especially over these past few weeks. It's been my personal saving grace. And I just breathe, take 5 deep breaths, and it just centers me, and listen to the wind and the birds and nature. It's so powerful, and it's free, and it's right outside your front door. And especially during these times, you don't have to feel cooped up in the house. Just get outside and take a 5-minute walk, take a 10-minute walk, whatever it happens to be. So
science actually proves that it boosts your immune system for up to 30 days by doing a walk in nature. Up to 30 days by taking a walk in nature. And not to even to mention walking itself is one of the, there's more studies done on walking than like almost any other form of exercise for the collective whole of your body. It's my favorite thing to do. And it builds your
immune system.
I thought we should get that. Vitamin D. It boosts your vitamin D if you get out in the sun. And vitamin D is, again, one of the biggest ones you can do to boost your immune system. Vitamin D is really, really important. Next one.
I just want to add one quick thing. Sunlight is super important. And so get outside before the sun high points of the day. So like before 11 a.m. and after 5 p.m. for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So you're not during like the super hot part of the days, but to where you're still getting the benefits and raising those vitamin D levels. So
yeah.
Next would be toxic products that we're using.
And if you guys stay with us till the end, we're actually going to give you, if you end up getting the C word, then Dr. Naram, who's one of the world's most famous natural healers who cures the incurable, I tell him that unicorns do exist, has put out a YouTube on specific herbs that you can take that will cure corona in like, you know, a day or two, matter of minutes. I might be fabricating this a little bit, but so don't fear. There is solutions that we're going to give you at the very end, and we're also going to put in the write up that specific video that's going to give you the exact amount of herbs and how often to take it. Dr. Naram has worked with the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, and Nelson Mandela, so stay tuned for that. Right now, toxic products, of course, this is one of Sara Lindsey's favorite because we have our own product line who we really stand behind. And why this is so important for me personally is because I suffered from such an illness previously where I was always chronic inflammation. I was sick all the time. They said I have an autoimmune disorder that I feel cured, even though my blood work states it. I don't get sick. The products that I was using was going into my body and affecting my thyroid. So up to 60% of what you put on your skin affects your thyroid system, your glands, your breathing when you're using things with fragrance. And right now, this is really important, guys, because we're all Lysoling. Like I've seen parents Lysol their kid's face. This virus attacks your lungs. And if we're bleaching our house right now and we're spraying our kids in the face and we're doing all these things that affect the lungs, you're going to make them more susceptible to the injury of the C word for the coronavirus. So you got to be really mindful. If you're going to use antibacterializers, please try to use the ones, if it is even alcohol, just breathing alcohol alone. Lindsay and I were mixing for you guys the other day, and I was breathing the alcohol and I got dizzy and my chest hurt for about 24 hours just from breathing it in too much. So be really mindful of the products that are in your house. And if you are going bleach crazy and Lysol crazy, you've got to get the airways in, or you're just making yourself more susceptible to this. And antibacterializers do have things that get into our hormones. And we've known this forever. They found it in breast milk. We're probably going crazy right now, which is pulling down our immune system. So wash your hands like you're about to put your contacts in and you just touched a hot pepper with warm water. Like this part really got to me. So this is the biggest thing you can do is to wash it really well. And if you're going to use the antibacterializers on a have to must basis, knowing that it's not a free thing, it's like a credit card you're swiping, you're going to pay for it later. So do it mindfully, do it as naturally as possible, and make sure you have good air and reduce the products with chemicals. We're also going to add at the end of this what chemicals not to put together. It might not be common knowledge that you shouldn't put things together like bleach and alcohol or vinegar. These can cause a gas that is extremely toxic. So just really trying to hone down on anything that's got a lot of fragrance, a lot of chemical, and for now, keep a good air circulation, because this is all about the lungs.
And Debbie commented, open your doors and windows and air out your house. That is so important. Thank you, Debbie. I know there's been a lot of tests done that actually prove that your indoor air quality is worse in a lot of cases than outdoor air quality. So you're souped up in the house and you're not getting any fresh air. It's like a toxic overload for your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it helps the environment actually changing your filtration system more. So if you have filters, change it more. And that seems like maybe counterintuitive because you have garbage, but it does help the environment because your system runs easier.
Yeah. And I would, Sarah, as you were talking about that, I just wanted to share something quickly. There's a lot of fear, obviously, that's going around, and it's like a collective thing. I think it was 3 days into all of this happening, and I went to the grocery store with my husband we got a few weeks worth of food, and I just started feeling panic in my chest. And I was like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. And I got home and it was like a few hours later and I'm like, hold on, like if I'm not grounded, then I get carried away with this fear. And so I calmed down from the fear and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Intuitively, I knew there was a better emotion to choose. And so I would just like to remind everybody that if you're feeling any sort of fear, that's a reaction. And like Sarah said in the beginning of the video of this live, the reason that we're talking about this is so that you can be proactive instead of reactive and giving into the collective fear. You don't have to do that. And just intuitively, it's like, it's almost hard to put into words, but fear is just like what you fall into. And so this is a great opportunity for us to change those reactions that we've had for thousands of years and decades back with our ancestors who their lives were literally endangered. They were burned at the stake or their heads were chopped off. They were physically in danger. And so we have the power right now to choose something different and to raise the collective consciousness and vibration of the entire earth right now, which is what's happening. So I would just like to remind everybody that if you're feeling fear, stop and bring yourself back to what feels good and reassure yourself that you are safe.
Mm-hmm. Faith over fear.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually my pop rocket.
I'm listening to Gabby Bernstein, and she has a book called Super Attractor, and this is a big thing. We become addicted to fear. This is an addiction. It's something that pays a lot of money. The news channels get a lot of money. They're meant to make you afraid right now. And that's weakening your immune system. So stay off of it. Do the work that you need to do. Be smart about it, but stay away from the things that get your vibration panicking. Like we called, people are buying water and we're like, why is everybody buying water? So we called the water company, is there any chance? So whatever might come to your mind, ask yourself, is this true? And know that it's all figure outable and find, get solution mindset, because it's all figure outable. There's always a solution and ways you can boost. And again, at the end of this, we have the cure. Or like the top thing you can do, which includes Tulsi leaves. And there's actually government websites that have that show the testing results in a blind study on Tulsi leaves boosting your immune system by a substantial amount. And this is something that Dr. Naram has used for years. It's an ancient scripture, the longest known medicine that exists. They knew it. So anybody that actually does order for Noma right now gets free Tulsi leaves. If you don't have them already, you can actually find them like Amazon or wherever, and it'll boost your immune system. So if you do get sick, again, don't worry. Imagine if you have the worst thing happen. There are ways to boost your immune system. Stay in that place of power.
Awesome. And I think we have one more, which would just be sleep. I think most people know that, but your body regenerates itself during the evening at night when you're sleeping. And so That's your body's recuperation time. So getting a good, everyone's different, I would say 6 to 9 hours of sleep, depending on your body, really helps regenerate yourself. And so your immune system is working and getting stronger even as you sleep. So, and getting good sleep.
We have tons of sleep tips, and we actually already did a YouTube video on this. If you guys aren't following us on YouTube, we're trying to build our channel. It's youtube.com/Sara and Lindsey, and there is a sleep tip video for you if you are struggling. If you're still struggling, just ping us. We'd love to help you guys. And there's a ton of other tips in our YouTube collection. If you go through, you'll find all sorts of things from better skin, how to help the environment, amazing people that we've interviewed. You can also follow us on Instagram at Sara and Lindsey. And we have a 7-day challenge. If you guys aren't a part of that group yet, we're going to put a link here. And it has amazing interviews from speakers all over the world. And we just are going to keep adding content to it. So that's the 7 days challenge with Sara and Lindsey. So keep an eye out, guys, for the comment section on this live, and we are going to put all this amazing info. And you can go to natureofnomore.com and sign up for our newsletter if you're not already signed up. Lindsey and I work really hard to get you weekly to bi-monthly newsletters that has all sorts of amazing content. I should say mostly Lindsey does a lot of that work. And just yesterday's newsletter included immune system boosting, powerful ways to help your body.
And I would just like to add, if anyone would like to take advantage of our free infographic, we have all the tips we went over today. It's a really pretty layout, and we will send that to you for free. Just add your email into the comments and we will get that right over to you.
Yay! We love you guys so much, and thank you for bearing with us as we take a little while to hop on. We've been juggling the retreat in Maui and our 7-day challenge and our nonprofit and our for-profit, and we're moms. So sometimes it takes us a little while, but don't give up on us. And if you guys have any, talks that you want talked about next time, or if, we want us to get on some specialists for business advice or whatever it is, put it in the discussion board and we'll get some amazing speakers, or we'll hop on and do it ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We love you all. Stay healthy. Happy.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye everybody.